Hello, my wonderful kindergarten students. Remember when we are working today to be very respectful to our guest teacher and make sure to tell her thank you or him thank you for coming into the art room and helping us create our art today. Now, what we're going to focus on today is we're going to talk about space and lines. When I say space, I'm not referring to outer space like the planets and stars. I'm referring to how much space is between you and your friends sitting at your table. And we're going to use a little magic trick that artists use to create the illusion of space. Now, I want you to imagine that you're riding in a car with your mom and dad, and I want you to notice as you're looking out the front window, what happens to the road, the size of the road, as it gets further away from you? Does anyone have any answers? What happens to the size of the road as it gets further away? You might notice that the road lines are getting closer and closer together. The road is looking like it's getting smaller and smaller as it gets further away. Artists use this little trick where things that are further away are smaller in size and things that are closer to us are bigger in size. Here is an example of one of those. This is a famous painting by a South Dakota artist named Terry Redlin. He used this same trick to make some of the things in his picture look up close and far away. So if you look at the trees in the front, they are larger than the trees in the middle ground. The trees on the mountain are so small, they're so far away, they're just tiny dots in the painting. Now today, what you're going to do is you're going to get a piece of paper. It's half of a sheet, and it has a straight line for flat land, wavy line for hills, and a zigzag line for mountains. Now, what I want you to practice doing is I want you to use your pencil and draw some trees in this space here. This space is called our foreground. And in the foreground, things are closest to us. And if they're closest to us, then they're very large in size. So I'm going to draw a tree in the foreground and show you how big it should be. Okay, so when I draw my tree, I'm going to start at the bottom of the paper. And I'm going to draw a straight line up, and it's going to be a very tall tree because it's in the front of our picture. All right, so now we're going to draw a tree in the middle ground now, and as that tree gets further away, it's going to get a little bit smaller because it's now in the middle ground. It is farther away from us. Now, trees that are on our background, which is the mountains, are going to be very small. We're going to barely see them. They're going to be very tiny. So now I want you to try it. Try drawing a tree in the foreground. That's the part of the picture that's closest to us at the bottom. And we're going to draw that tree straight up. If it slants a little bit, that's okay. Another way to draw this kind of evergreen tree is to draw a triangle like this and then fill it in green. Now the tree that's going to be in the middle ground, remember it needs to be a little smaller because it's getting further away in our middle ground. So I'm going to draw a smaller triangle for that tree because it's in the middle ground. And then in the background, which is in my mountains, that tree is going to be very tiny because it's the farthest away. So let's try it one more time. The tree at the bottom of our picture is going to be closest to us, so it needs to be very large. This is called the foreground, the front of our picture. Things that are closest to us are very large. Now, when I go to the middle ground, which is where the hills are, I'm going to draw a smaller tree because it is further away. But then when I get to the mountains, that's my background. That tree is going to be very tiny because it's so far away. Now the very top area of space, this is my sky. And you can color that whatever color you want. I'm using blue, but you could make it a sunset. You could draw a sun if you wish. But I want you to color the space above the mountains, the sky. Now the next time I see you, we're going to turn this picture into a puzzle and we're going to practice cutting the straight line with our scissors, wavy line, and zigzag. And then we're going to glue those puzzle pieces back together on a new piece of paper. When you finish coloring the sky, don't forget to color the foreground, which is the flat land, the middle ground, which is the hills, and the background, which is the mountains. Until I see you again, have a great rest of your day and work hard.